The Champions League is back for another beautiful season, the 2024-2025 season. But this time it's back with more teams and more games. We have an extra 12 teams that will be joining this season. So instead of 24 teams, we're going to have 36 teams this season. And that means more games also means more rotations. We have Pep Guardiola that is there. We have some other teams that are back. We have new debutants like Girona FC or from Spanish La Liga. We have Brest from French League. We have Bratislavia from the Slovakian League, and some other returnees like Bologna who are making their Champions League return for the first time in about 60 plus years. That is 6.5 decades. And Aston Villa as well, the 1982 champions who are back for the Champions League campaign. And there's lots to talk about, but we're going to focus more here on the Champions League draw and how it affects us, Champions League manager, in our Champions League team. So that's basically what I'm going to be talking about. Hello everyone, welcome to the FPL Manor podcast show. This is your host, the FPL Manor. My name is Wally, and in case you have never been here before, or in case you are wondering what I do, basically I talk about Champions League fantasy on YouTube. Yeah, so I'll be posting this video in a few hours. Today is the 1st of September, so let's say tomorrow, Monday, it will be scheduled for tomorrow, and we'll talk more about Champions League along the line. We'll talk about differentials, talk about chip strategy, and so on and so forth. It's an odd hour to be recording. This is 5:45 a.m. on a Sunday. I was unable to sleep. I woke up like 3 a.m. and I'll be trying to gather content to do this. However, we're here, so let's start. So as you can see my background here, there's a picture of the Champions League champions from last season, 15 time, if I'm not mistaken. 15 time Champions League folks, Real Madrid, and they are here to probably defend their championship. Let's see how it goes. So before we start, let's look at the Champions League draw. Let's look at the Champions League draw. Now, I have saved ourselves time. On the official website is the schedule is there, but I just prefer to use probably a more recognized website who have broken it down with some analysts and all of that to give us the whole 36 teams. Give us the whole 36 teams and who is the best, who is the best, what do you call it? The best team to target, or who has the best features, for match day 1, match day 2, match day 3, down to the final match day. So I'm going to be borrowing Opta effects graphics for this. So let's start with the overall let's start with the overall schedule for that system. So if looking at my screen here, you can see we have the UEFA Champions League difficulty ratings, that is feature difficulty. We see this on Champions League a lot, on Premier League a lot, and we have a lot of teams here. So it's moving from, if you see the Opta ratings down here, if you have about 80, you have an easier feature compared to those that are close to 100 who have tougher features. So from what we are seeing here, on top of the difficulty ranking, PSG sort of have the most difficult fixtures here so far, because their first games against Barcelona, then Man City, then Arsenal, then Atletico Madrid. So their first 4 games, they are not playing any easy sides, because you have to remember that this was divided into 4 pots. Everybody faced at least 2 teams from 2 pots, and pot 1, pot 2 are usually the hardest teams, also the top teams, while pot 3 and 4 are not like easier teams, but regarded generally as easier teams compared to pot 1 and pot 2. So PSG sort of have the most difficult features here, and because they start very strong against FC Barcelona, Man City, Arsenal, Atletico Madrid, Salzburg, PSV, Girona, and I'm not sure which team that is. I think it's Praha. I'll check it later. And so like that, we have Sparta Praha, Liverpool, Feyenoord, Lille, Salzburg, Sporting CP, also among the teams with tough features there. Liverpool, for example, have RB Leipzig, Real Madrid, Leverkusen, Milan. before they now face Lille, PSV, Bologna, and Girona. Just before I continue, I think the schedule is already out. So let's see if we can check the Champions League website for the schedule for the matches being drawn up. The schedule is already out. So if I'm not mistaken, I saw a Thursday fixture. So let's go to the Champions League starting on September 17th. And yeah, Liverpool is actually starting against Milan, their first game. So it is practically the same, schedule we're seeing here. So as the draw was done, they didn't really schedule it to other, the way it was drawn is when you face your opponent. So Liverpool will face, Liverpool is facing Milan first, not in pot 2, rather than Leipzig. Okay, so Liverpool are playing Milan in pot 2. Then later on, they will face who the next week now? Bologna. So the schedule is pretty tight. But we'll get to that later. Let's just focus more on the draws here. So let's focus more on the draws here. So these are the draws. So PSG have the toughest features based on the ratings, and Celtic have easier features in quotes because they will only face Dortmund, Leipzig, Atalanta, then Young Boys, and so on and so forth. So on the bottom of the difficulty ratings, like those that have easier features, we have Celtic, Bayern, Dortmund, Barcelona, Aston Villa, Stuttgart, and so on and so forth. So we also have, just to give us more context, because I don't want us to be looking at all 36 teams at the same time, they have also given us the teams with the hardest draws and the teams with the easiest draws, so dividing it into a much more easier way for us to assess this difficulty. So let's look at that quickly. So as you can see, Celtic, as I said, have the easiest ratings here. Celtic have the easiest ratings, followed by FC Bayern, then Dortmund, Barcelona, Aston Villa, Stuttgart, Young Boys, Atalanta, Europa League champions, PSV, Dinamo Zagreb, Milan, Atletico Madrid, Bologna, Girona, Man City, Brest, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Real Madrid. So these are the teams that have like the easiest draws so far. So according to Opta ratings, and I don't think it's pretty far off from the truth. You can see Celtic are not facing PSG or Real Madrid or even the Manchester City, former champions. They're just facing only, and these are games, besides the Dortmund game, these are other games they can get results. So let's look at the other teams with harder features. So we'll go to this other place here, and you can see from here, PSG, as I said, have toughest features, on at least based on the draws we've seen so far. Does this mean we should avoid PSG, as a team? There's no Mbappe, there's still Hakimi, there's still some other talents. They didn't Kolomwani and co, but let's see how things goes from here. So PSG, Sparta Praha, Liverpool, Feyenoord, so on and so forth. So my initial reaction to the draw, I think it was mixed, because first of all, a lot of people don't understand how the league phase will work. So I think I will give a little bit of attention to that, but let me just talk about the draws first. So my initial reaction to the draw, it was pretty cool. It saved a lot of time. Everything was done within an hour, and they used an automated system to shuffle among teams who face each other. So, and as you can see, 2 teams were selected from 2 pots to face each other team that was qualified for the Champions League, and it was pretty cool. Gianluigi Buffon was there, Ronaldo was also there. They gave them some awards, honorary awards. Ronaldo got the all-time goal scorer awards, and what is his name? Gianluigi got the UEFA President Award, and it was pretty cool. It seems fair compared to other seasons where you most likely will see Man City get an easy draw against a team like maybe Midtjylland or Dinamo Zagreb. So and maybe the group is not tough. So what UEFA tried to do is expand opportunities for more teams to play. At the same time, not make the draws exactly easy for a certain side, and so on and so forth. However, with the group phase gone and the league phase in, it also means each club will play, instead of 6 games, that is home and away in the group stages against 3 teams, you play 8 games. So as you can see, two teams from each pot, you play 8 games. So this means we'll have Champions League game extending from September, which is starting this month, September to December. We'll see games extending down to January for the remaining 8 games. So you play two games, September 2 games, I think October now to November, December, late November, early December, I think a game apiece, and the remaining 2 games will be carried over to the New Year. So we have games moving over to New Year. So what does it mean for us Champions League managers? It means that we will see more rotations. It means that we will need to prioritize when to use our chips based on the schedule, and I'm still going to look at the schedule properly from someone who has taken his time to do that. So I'm going to check for FPL Austria, who I think he has done the schedule. Yeah, FPL Austria, I think I saw him do the schedule there for Champions League team. So I'm just going to borrow wisdom from this page here. So this is official schedule for at least all the teams. I think so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times 3, 32. So yeah, 36 rather. So we have the 36 teams all scheduled here from beginning of the season to, as I said, from September down to January. So we have a lot of games to be played. So we're going to see more rotations because the Premier League is there, the Bundesliga is there. Each of these clubs have their individual leagues, and to avoid injuries, to avoid players getting players missing out from the major parts of the season, a lot of rotations will be done. I see teams like Liverpool making rotations. They have Chiesa, they have Capo, they have Nunes. We could see them playing more in the Champions League since Jota and Salah have been playing more in the Premier League. We'll see more rotations. That's true of the matter. However, we will not see it much at the beginning of the season. Like this September is starting. We'll see it more towards the ending of the group of the league phase rather, and teams like Man City will definitely rotate. Probably Erling Haaland will not rotate since he's the only major striker, but he could rotate for the last 2. So let's quickly look at this schedule once more. Where is Manchester City? Let's look at the major favorites that will most likely qualify. And since you need 24 points to qualify, 8 games, 3 points, 24 games, 20 to 24 games, thereabouts, you need to focus more on Man City assets. And let's look at Man City's schedule here. Manchester City have Inter, Slavia, Bratislava. So Inter, a very tough game at home. Then they travel away to visit Slovian Bratislava. Then we have Sparta Praha. So these are very good games to target Man City players in the month of October. Then Sporting away, Feyenoord at home, Juventus and Paris. Maybe be a good time to play. Probably will play a wild card. More on cheap strategy later. And Club Brugge, the last game there. We could see a lot of rotations in that game. However, Pep could surprise us. Moving on, teams to probably avoid, like PSG. PSG have a very funny schedule because they have Girona at home, they have Arsenal away, then they have PSV at home, Atletico at home. So they have a mixed bag of games there. So you might just have maybe one single PSG player, maybe Hakimi. I think Hakimi is priced fairly this season. I'll get to more to player prices, but I don't want this to be a very lengthy podcast. So this is the schedule in case you want to examine it yourself, just to save yourself time. From the Premier League website, we have an expert here, that is FPL Austria, who has done a nice ticker here, also showing us the games that are easy and tough on paper to watch out for. So a lot of games here, and a lot of interesting games here to look out for. So thank you FPL Austria for those analyses, and I've also shown you guys the teams with the most difficult ratings and the teams with the easiest ratings. So I think this should be helpful enough to guide you starting your Champions League fantasy team. Looking at the Champions League fantasy itself, because I've not dealt on that a lot, the game launched 10 days thereabouts before the Champions League draw was done. I think about 19th of this month, 19th of August. And a lot of interesting assets that have, come to life recently in recent games. Erling Haaland definitely is going to be one of those players that will be most captained or most owned by the time the season starts properly, with back-to-back hat-tricks scored so far. As the point of speaking, he has scored 7 goals in the last 3 games in just the month of August. There are some other teams I'll probably need to research on, teams like Brest, teams like Slavia, Sparta Praha, teams like Bologna, teams like Celtic, Red Star, that is Werner Zenza. A lot of teams you need to research on to see much cheaper assets within the 4M category, and cheaper keepers to help us rotate. However, one player that has been making the round so far is Sporting CP striker. If I'm not mistaken, he's still there. Goycores has been scoring goals for fun in the Portuguese league, and he's priced at 7.5 million. Currently has 5% ownership. This is one player I would love to have. Let me see the schedule. According to FPL Australia. Let me see the schedule for. Sorry about that. Let me see the schedule for Sporting CP. So they play Lille at home. They play PSV away. They have pretty decent features for the first 3 games. So this is a nice set of features to look out for Sporting assets. Then maybe avoid them from this game week 4, game week 5, or match day 5, 4 and 5. So I would love to have Goycores starting the season. I would love to have him in my team. And some other, marvelous assets. I've not had time to research deeply on a lot of teams that have potential stars. I call them hidden gems to look out for, but I will definitely do that. So you need to give me a follow on Twitter, just to give me a follow on Twitter at the FPL Manual. I write extensively on Champions League a lot, and I do that for my employer, Rotobola. So if you want any statistics or any details during this international break that's starting this month of September, I'll be writing extensively on differentials. I'll be writing extensively on how to use your chips, because Champions League did not really do us a favor, especially those that developed the game. They didn't do us a favor with our chips. We only have 2 chips that we usually have every season. And it's quite sad, because I would have preferred us to have an additional chip of some sort. We still only have the wildcard chip and the limitless chip, which is pretty damning, to be honest, because we have more games, and probably we need more opportunities to capitalize on certain games. Maybe I like the limitless still being available, but I would have preferred something else. I don't know, something else, like, I don't know, another chip to probably add to the more games, because guess what, we still have the round of 16 to play. There's still some teams that will play playoffs later. I even forgot to mention this. So out of the 36 teams in the league phases, we have the first 8 teams that are qualified to the round of 16. Then from number 9 to 24 are sort of ranked in the same position, where these next 16 teams will actually have a playoff. And that means that some teams will actually have 10 games to be played in the Champions League just before the round of 16 is played. So rotation is going to be crazy, like mad. We're going to have a lot of rotations. So then teams from 25th to the 36th team will be knocked out of the contest. They will not drop down to Europa League or any other league as it used to be. So we need chips, and unfortunately we are not giving more than the 2 chips. So this is my biggest how will I say it, downside. This is my biggest downside to this season. But normally, I mean, last season I got like 3.9k ranking, so I believe I will still do well. I'm here to create an actual team, so I'll probably do more on the team analysis later. But so far so good. I'm actually spending too much time on this. So far so good. Those are the draws, and this is a picture of the last season's champions, and I think that wraps this up. So this is my Champions League draw reaction. I've talked about a few features to target. I will give my analysis later. By the time we do this properly on other other episodes to come, chip strategy and some other differentials and stuff. But for now, I just mentioned a few teams that have easier games and like Sporting CP, Manchester City. I've mentioned a few underdogs that are like the debutants and a few returnees that maybe could stage, a chance of fighting into the Champions League. So let's see how that goes. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I will be recording more during this international break. Thank you for tuning in. Please, for those seeing me live on YouTube, this audio is going to be recorded for Spotify, another podcast platform. But for those seeing me on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please, I'm begging. I know I don't usually beg for subscribers, but I don't have a lot of what they call it. I have a lot of subscribers on my YouTube page. So please subscribe. I'm begging. Please subscribe. I have only like 58 subscribers right now. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel. The Clash of Champions series. We'll be doing this every match day. At least before every match day. So get ready for more content coming this season. And thank you for tuning in. Until next time, my name is Wale. Thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you again next week or so on the next episode. Bye for now.